Hello,
Hey everybody! Awkward starting moment.
Yes, sorry. We have a kitten in the room with us, so...
Yes, we do. So. Hope everybody's doing okay tonight. We're here in the haunts of Richmond Storm Center.
Yes.
Yes. All batten down the hatches and whatnot, ready for...
beer present, popcorn present.
Bourbon. Ghost stories. Ghost stories. It was a dark and stormy night.
Which it is.
True. True story tonight. Kind of cliche, but hey.
Good night to talk about haunted hotels.
It is, absolutely. This show, I think that there were a lot of people interested in this show tonight.
Yes, there were.
And we might have a few new people joining us tonight to watch the show or listen in.
Which would be awesome.
Which is awesome.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. If you're not one of our regulars to date, we started doing these, well, they were weekly during the COVID complete lockdown when we could not do anything.
And so this kept us sane.
Yes. Well, relatively speaking at least. And now that we are able to get out and do some limited tours again, we're doing this every other week because, well, we just fell in love with doing this. So, kitten's getting in trouble already.
Kitten's after the computer cord.
Oh, no, we can't have that. No. That would shut us down real quick tonight.
So, for those of you that didn't meet Una last week, this is Una.
Yep.
She's the new office kitty.
Yep.
As you can see, she is a handful.
A ball of energy.
So.
She has her own Instagram account.
Una the Gray.
Una the Gray, or...
AKA Fuzzy Murder Mittens. Or Fuzzy Murder...
Furry Murder Muffin.
That's it.
Furry Murder Muffin. So, yes, that is her handle. And she lives up to it quite well.
Yeah. Sharp, pointy claws and everything.
Sharp, pointy claws and everything. But yeah, back to what we were here to talk about tonight. I think everybody's kind of got a little bit of cabin fever, wanting to get out. And
so we decided we were going to help you with some haunted locations that you could go to when you're ready to travel.
Yes.
Because some of these are on our list.
Yes. Oh yeah. Quite a few of them are on our list. And this will just be volume 1 of our haunted hotels because...
I have an entire document that is organized by state.
By state, let alone international. There's going to be plenty of that.
And then there's the bed and breakfast one. That's as well. So there'll be multiple.
You had a bed and breakfast on here for tonight.
I know.
Whatever.
There was a few that crossed over.
Details.
Yeah.
Details. Not really important. We got some ghost stories to share with you tonight.
Yes, we did. So we're going to start with one of the most famous ones of all.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go for a grand slam right out of the gate. One that probably most people, if you have any kind of, like the spooky stuff at all, you're probably familiar with it. It is out in Estes Park, Colorado.
Yep.
It is a legend in its own right because it's been featured, at least it's been fictionalized in the works of Mr. Stephen King himself.
Yeah, Mr. King's works are going to actually make a few visits today.
Yes.
Because, well,
it's Stephen
King.
Yeah. He's touched a lot over the course of his career, including the Stanley Hotel out there in Estes Park. Now, there is a absolute gold mine of ghost stories that we could share from the Stanley Hotel.
Yes.
Plenty of apparitions, plenty of things that go bump in the night and stuff like that. But we
these are things that a lot of people have already heard about, but I actually found a personal experience.
Yes.
That somebody blogged about.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share that experience with you guys.
Do you want to share it?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I get to jump into it.
You like this Stanley because you love Stephen King.
I do. Yes. So, this is the story, a personal haunting story from the Stanley Hotel out there in Estes Park, Colorado. Now, a woman by the name of Susie Landrew decided to celebrate her sister Patty's birthday at the Stanley Hotel. 2 of their friends, Connie and Donna, flew out from Madison, Wisconsin to join them for the occasion, and it was a Friday the 13th of all days as well.
Gotta go.
After they went ahead, they gathered at Susie's house in Boulder, Colorado. They loaded her car for the trip to Estes. Amongst the ladies' suitcases was a Ouija board. Haunts of Richmond does not condone the use of Ouija boards. We'll just lay that out right there. No. So, anyways, it had never been used, and even though Susie knew it was creepy, she could not help herself. It was a crisp November afternoon, and as their car ascended into the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, it began to snow. Now, if you know anything about horror author Stephen King, you likely are familiar with the Stanley as well. Stephen King's book, The Shining, made this Estes Park Hotel famous. He was inspired to write the now classic novel after his family experienced paranormal activity when they stayed there themselves in room 217. Even if you haven't read the book, many will remember Jack Nicholson, who played the possessed father in the movie, and his two famous lines, "All work and no play make Jack a dull boy," and "Here's Johnny."
And see, I remember Red Rum.
Red Rum.
Red Rum.
On a personal note, having read the book, the movie is good. Jack Nicholson is phenomenal. The book is better.
Book's always better.
It's the way it is.
Yeah.
So be it. Read the book if you get a chance. You won't be disappointed. Now, Susie's car wound its way north along Highway 36, and the ladies were debating the hotel's famous tendency for paranormal phenomena. Susie was trying to dampen expectations, worried that her sister and friends would be disappointed if nothing spooky happened to them during their stay. Patty reassured her, though, that even if the spirits were quiet, she was happy to be spending her birthday with her sister and friends all the same. After parking the car outside the Stanley, they walked across the Stanley's massive veranda and entered the 100-year-old Victorian structure. Several other groups meandered about in the spacious lobby. A few glanced at the Ouija board under Susie's arm and giggled. Her cheeks grew hot. The ominous date hadn't gone unnoticed by many of the hotel guests, but there were also several wedding parties around that were not going to let a little superstition get in the way of their special day. Susie then turned around at the sound of a commotion caused by a group that entered with all kinds of equipment. It appeared that a ghost hunting team had come to dispel any paranormal activity. The man at the front desk checked Connie and Donna into the rooms located in a section of the hotel that was considered benign for ghost activity, much to their relief. However, Patty and Susie pounced on the opportunity to stay in the very infamous fourth-floor wing, where hotel guests have often reported children running up and down the hallway in the middle of the night. Patty stayed at the end of the hall in room 412, and Susie checked herself into room 406, known as Billy's room. Now, Billy was a little boy that had haunted the space by moving items in the room and closets in this wing. As Susie unpacked, she made sure to hang her leather coat dead center in the closet so it would be noticeable if it moved. When she rejoined the rest of her group, she told them what she had done, and they all looked at each other and laughed. Armed with digital cameras in hope of catching some orbs on film, they went on the 4 p.m. haunted ghost tour that was actually put on the hotel itself. Kevin, their guide, took them on an exploration of the historic hotel, going to areas that had reported paranormal activity. Connie and Susie took some random pictures in the piano room before Kevin led them to room 217, which is where, as I've mentioned before, King's family had stayed. Kevin said it was believed to be haunted by a man who swindled and pickpocketed hotel guests. The ghost was also a ladies' man and had been known to caress female hotel guests. No matter the stories, the ghost didn't seem to be around on that particular afternoon. Satisfied with their extensive historical tour of the building and the number of orb photos the friends had captured on film, they went to their separate rooms to dress for dinner. Susie did check to see if her coat had been moved, and there it was, dead center in the middle of the closet where she had left it. During dinner, they strained their ears to hear the eerie sounds of the piano that had been reported to play at random intervals, but all they heard was classical music that filtered down from overhead speakers. Since it was November and the off-season, about the same time of year the King's family had visited, half of the cavernous dining room was left in darkness, and Susie couldn't escape a pervasive draft. After dinner, the ladies walked to the hallways with some EMF equipment to see if they could go ahead and detect some spirits themselves, and it was at this time that they came across the paranormal investigation team. And so they were pleasantly surprised to go ahead and make their acquaintance, and Susie started chatting it up with the paranormal experts and told them about the orbs that they had caught on their cameras earlier. While she was talking, their EMF meters also started to spike, but instead of getting excited, the experts explained that the EMF was likely due to the old wiring in the walls all around them, and that the orbs they caught with their cameras was likely just some dust. Susie was a little disappointed, and she asked, "If I'm not seeing ghosts in the middle of the night, then what is it that I'm seeing?" The experts explained that it was likely sleep paralysis and that she was actually still dreaming after waking up. Susie thought to herself, "I'm clearly awake when I see apparitions walk through my bedroom, but they are the experts." Little backstory, Susie had had some paranormal experiences before coming to the hotel, so that's where that comes from. The experts explained that it was likely sleep paralysis. And okay, so as the ghost hunting group went off to investigate another part of the hotel, a blonde-haired woman stayed behind. She beckoned to the ladies. "Come over here and feel this," she said, and they walked over to the bottom of a stairwell. The woman explained, "This is the vortex of the hotel." Susie walked up to the wall and stood with her back to it. A tingling sensation began on the soles of her feet and then moved their way up through her body to the top of her head, where her hair stood on end. They each took a turn, and the sensation left Susie wondering, how would the experts explain this? The ladies took their leave of the blonde-haired woman and returned to the fourth-floor wing. Susie retrieved the Ouija board, and they found a spot in the middle of the long hallway to sit down on a tapestried carpeting. Susie pulled out the board, and they put their fingers on the planchette, and after a couple of minutes, Susie jerked it, and everybody screamed. Susie admitted, "I did it," and they all had a good laugh. She was getting very tired and was getting ready to, was feeling ready to go to bed, but suddenly they were struck by a very cold breeze. They turned and gazed down the empty hallway. The door at the end of the hall stood wide open to an outdoor landing. They were briefly awestruck, but they quickly started to suspect that they were not alone. Patty stood up to investigate, but as she rose, the door abruptly slammed shut. Patty ran down the hall and checked, but no one was outside on the landing. It had also been snowing, and there were no footprints in the freshly fallen snow. The event had left the friends a little shaken, and they decided to go ahead and call it a night. Susie returned to her room, washed up, and tumbled into bed, but rest was not on her agenda for the night. A persistent banging on the floor above kept her awake for hours. She thought to herself, why don't those stupid ghost hunters set their equipment down instead of dropping it on the floor? She tried covering her head with a pillow. As she does finally start to nod off, screams of children and pounding of feet reverberated down the hallway. Tired and irritated, she rolled over, hoping that the noisy offenders would be caught. The noise ended as abruptly as it started, and she started to drift off to sleep. An hour later, Susie was startled awake by a sound in her room. She faced a pale-faced man with black hair parted down the middle and a goatee, wearing a white shirt, black bow tie, and jacket floating up from the tapestry floor. The man rose over Susie and then out the window. Remembering what the ghost huntress had said to her earlier, she thought, great, now I'm having sleep paralysis on top of all the noise. She again turned over and fell back to sleep. She woke a few hours later to a shaft of gray morning light. Susie dressed and called Patty, who promptly came right over. Patty eagerly asked, did you hear them? The children ran down the hall at a really fast pace, but instead of slowing at the end of the hall, their steps just ended mid-stride. Susie responded, well, I had sleep paralysis and saw some guy float over my head. What was up with all the equipment being banged around over our heads all night? She got up to open her closet door, and she gasped. And the sleeve of the jacket had been pulled and was almost completely off the hanger. She knows she had not disturbed it herself. Excitement suddenly coursed through Susie. Can you believe it, Patty? I never expected anything, but they really put on a show. Patty made a quip about it being Friday the 13th, and Susie just rolled her eyes. With that, they set off to meet up with Connie and Donna, who said that they had had a great night's sleep for themselves. The blonde-haired woman from the night before spotted the group and approached them. She asked, did you hear them? Susie responded, they weren't hotel guests or staff. The blonde-haired woman laughed and said, no. Those were the ghostly children that the Stanley Hotel is famous for. Last night was the first time I've heard them since arriving a few days ago. Intrigued, Susie went on to explain to her sleep paralysis event from overnight. The woman responded, sounds like you got a visit from F.O. Stanley himself. That isn't sleep paralysis. Immediately upon waking is the easiest time to see ghosts. That's why they seem to fade as you start to wake up. Susie left the conversation wondering again what it was that she had experienced after all. While checking out, the man at the desk asked her how her night was. Susie lamented the disruption of the ghost hunters banging around in the attic so much the previous night. Ma'am, the Stanley Hotel doesn't have an attic. You were on the fourth floor wing in a dormer. There was nothing above you. The story of Susie, Patty, Connie, and Donna is just one of the countless accounts of paranormal activity at the Stanley Hotel. Some people even claim to have caught the spirits of Mr. and Mrs. Stanley themselves on camera. With or without The Shining, the Stanley Hotel certainly has earned its reputation as one of the most haunted hotels around.
and it's on our bucket list.
Oh yes,
We've
definitely.
been to Estes Park. In fact, we got our wedding topper from a local glass artist up there.
That's right, we did, didn't we?
Yeah, but we did not actually go over to the hotel, but on the list.
Yep. Next time we get up that way.
Yeah.
Because next time we get up that way, it's going to be a special trip up to Estes Park for the Stanley.
Yes, it will. And now that we don't have family in Boulder anymore, we'll be just going to be tourists.
We have an excuse to stay in a hotel rather than somebody's house.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to jump down to Louisiana, and I'm going to hop on this so Chris can check everybody's comments.
Yeah, because I'm sure you can't even begin to guess where we're going in Louisiana.
I wonder. Somewhere for Fat Tuesday, maybe?
Ooh, Fat Tuesday.
All right, so New Orleans. There are a ton of haunted hotels in New Orleans. I think my last count was at least 10. I picked 3 to put on tonight's show. So we're going to start with La Pavillon. No sound.
No sound.
So we are going to go to Le Pavillon, which is found on Podaya Street, and it's just a few blocks away from the French Quarter, the Convention Center, and the Superdome. So it's right down in the main area. It's one of the grandest hotels in New Orleans, and it continues to attract thousands of visitors each year. It has a very, very interesting history to the land before it actually became the hotel. So we're going to start with the history of the land. Like many different hotels and structures in Louisiana, it was not the first structure to sit on the land where it currently rests. Since the late 1800s, it has been an assortment of different buildings that have stood where the hotel is today. But in the earliest days, Podaya Street was actually a canal that was left neglected and festering. So there used to be water running through this area. The canal was backfilled, and eventually a streetcar depot was built on the site. It too was neglected and was eventually demolished. In 1867, a theater with the aspirations of being a center of high culture was built on the site, only to become a pit of debauchery before burning to the ground in 1887. Are you noticing a trend here with anything that is put on this property? It seemed to be cursed, and it was acquired by the La Baronne Realty in the late 1800s, and the Hotel Denachad was opened on the site in 1907. It was considered one of the finest hotels in the South, and it unfortunately had construction and operation that just cost way too much and developed crushing debt almost instantly. The hotel changed hands. It was renamed to the Hotel de Soto in 1913. The Hotel de Soto was the first building that actually was profitable on this property, and it managed to be profitable through the Depression and through both World Wars, but unfortunately in 1963 it had succumbed to be neglected again. A lot of properties on this, or a lot of buildings on this property have fallen to that fate. It was, of course, passed into new ownerships again, and it was thoroughly restored, and this is where the modern gorgeous amenities have been brought in. So it has crystal chandeliers from Czechoslovakia, marble floors and columns from Italy. Victorian-era mahogany bar were also brought into this area to bring in this whole idea of elegance and luxury. And it has, of course, been renamed to now the Pavillon. The hauntings, because it ranks as one of the most luxurious hotels, it has a lot of people who have come to stay here ever since it began its life as a hotel, and they actually attribute most of the paranormal activity to all the people that have come through there, and also to what the property was prior to being the hotel. It is amongst one of the most haunted hotels in New Orleans. Now, Ada is the most popular ghost, most frequently cited ghost. She also goes by Ava or Ava. She is known to haunt the main entrance of the lobby area. It's believed that she is seen with brown eyes, brown hair, and she may have been killed in an accident by a runaway carriage. She is also seen carrying a clutch and wears a hat, a shawl, and has a long black skirt. People have seen her pacing in the lobby. She's been mistaken for a Mardi Gras celebrant on occasion, and she has even bumped into people, apologized, and then instantly vanished. So if you happen to be there and somebody bumps into you, you say, "Excuse me, Ada," or Ava. The ninth floor, there are reports of a woman in black wandering in the guest rooms. One of the hotel guests reported waking up about 2:30 in the morning to see an elderly woman in a black dress sitting on the side of his bed. Other guests have not only seen her sit on the bed, but also have heard her speak to them. There's also a ghost couple who is dressed to the nines that appear to be sort of the 1920s. The man has a dark mustache, a dark hat, and is always seen smoking a cigar. The woman, on the other hand, is said to wear a light, long blue dress. She has got dark hair and is always carrying a beaded purse. They said the man died actually suddenly after taking a long walk with his wife, and his wife, being overcome by grief, died shortly thereafter. They are always seen together. They are always happy. They're holding hands and walking the hotel grounds. They've also been seen walking through the doors and vanishing into the elevators. Shortly after the elevator dings, the couple is gone. They've also been seen up in room 221 on the second floor, which they assume was probably the room they were renting when they passed away in the hotel. Excuse me.
All right.
Yep. Popcorn. Visitors and staff of the hotel have reported seeing the ghost of a long-haired, shoeless man who has a vibrantly colored shirt on. He said to play pranks on hotel guests by yanking their sheets, hiding their room keys and shoes, as well as moving belongings. So there's a bit of a trickster there as well. So if you want to see something paranormal on your next trip, this is the place you want to go. All right, another possibility. Do you have any questions before I go on? I know you're checking a whole lot of writing.
Nope, no questions yet.
Okay, good. Just making sure before we go on. All right, we're going to go to the Hotel Provincial in New Orleans. Of course, also very haunted. This is in the French Quarter, and the land that it is on was actually granted to Bonneville Lieutenant Louis Boucher of the Grand-Père. My French is terrible. I'm sorry. I'm really rusty. Do you want to take over?
Yeah, sorry. Steve's on.
Hey, Steve.
Our friend Steve. So,
okay.
Steve with Transcend Paranormal. He says we're triplets tonight. He's wearing his Haunts of Richmond shirt, too.
Yay. We need to get you on live with us.
Yeah, we'll have to do that sometime.
Yeah.
Where were we?
All right, so I was right here.
The French Quarter? The history of the
I read
Hotel
that first
Provincial?
sentence.
The first sentence. Oh, okay. So the land changed hands once or twice before being purchased and developed by the Rote and Lorenz families during the 1800s. Now, buildings on the property came and went, and ownership changed hands on occasion as well before the Dupepe family purchased the property in 1958. They went ahead and renovated the site to open up what they deemed as the 100 and 200 buildings in what is now the Hotel Provincial. They went ahead and opened up for business in 1961. With the hotel's early success, the Dupepe family purchased more adjacent buildings over the subsequent years, renovating them and calling them the 300, 400, and 500 buildings. Beautiful place. I've seen the pictures of it.
This is one of the places we wouldn't mind staying.
Yeah. Maybe not the most original naming conventions for their buildings, but hey, whatever. Is what it is. So, anyways.
We have the Old Stone House in Richmond, so we can't complain.
True. They've been calling it the Old Stone House for over 200 years, though.
Okay. Point taken.
Anyways, encompassed in the hotel complex today are buildings that were used as part of a military hospital. There is a slave quarters and a townhouse dating back to 1825, a retail store and residence from the 1830s, an extravagant home from the 1870s, and more. This has really been kind of made a piecemeal.
It's a mishmash, which makes it fascinating.
Yes. So, of course, with the site having a history that dates all the way back to 1722, it has a long history, and there are some guests that just refuse to leave. Countless reports have been made by guests that unusual activity takes place around the hotel. And while hauntings of the hotel site appear to span all eras, most of the spirited sightings do date to the Civil War era. Kind of makes sense because during that time, many, if not all, of the buildings that comprise the hotel today were utilized as hospital space for wounded soldiers.
So if you ever want to stay in a haunted hospital space, this is the one to go to.
Yes. Yep, it's a good example. Although, yeah, I know, slipping off there. But,
Your bottle got diluted.
I could say something else. Keep it PG.
Good choice. That was bad enough with that
Yes.
comment.
Yep. Okay. Anyways, so the 500 building is said to be the most haunted of them all. Guests who have been billeted in the rooms of the 500 building have walked into the rooms looking for a night of relaxation, only to see several bloody soldiers who are moaning in agonizing pain. The specters instantly disappear as they turn the lights on. Apparitions of Confederate surgeons have also been reported, and many people have claimed to see bloodstains mysteriously appearing and disappearing on the bedding of particular rooms.
You know those blood stains are really hard to get out. Anybody will tell you that.
Yeah. Pools of blood have also been seen on the floor, only to disappear just as quickly. One guest even reported that as the elevator door opened on the hotel's second floor, he saw an entire Civil War-era hospital ward spread out before him. There is also a ghost of a young woman who guests have spotted wandering the hotel in 1860s attire. Whether she was a nurse at the hospital or someone just visiting there does remain unknown. And just in case those those two hotel options that we've shared with you just thus far for New Orleans aren't quite enough, we do have one more for you this evening. New Orleans, got to give them credit, they are
the most haunted place in the United States.
Yeah.
So.
We have our spooks here in Richmond, but New Orleans,
They are the creme de la creme of spooks.
they've taken it to a whole nother level.
Again, I need to get back there. The last time I was there, I was 8 years old, and we didn't do anything spooky.
I've never.
And we need to get him there. So, again, another long weekend trip. Who's going with? I'm waiting for everybody to start saying. Question?
Have we ever been to the Gettysburg Hotel? They say it's haunted. I want to go sometime. This is Jennifer Yates, somebody who's new with us. New to listening to our
is
show.
Is this the one that's right downtown? At that big
I think so.
roundabout?
I think so. It's now Best Western.
Yeah.
Or it's the Gettysburg. Or is it the same one? There's actually numerous.
There's a couple of them.
There's
we
numerous.
stayed at the 1776 hotel.
No, I thought it was the. Anyway, no.
No, that's where JC and Angel stayed.
We stayed there as well.
Yeah.
The one that was a year.
Yeah.
I thought it was a year from the Civil War, the 1863.
That's right, 1863.
Yeah. So anyways,
sorry.
we stayed there.
We stayed at the not the Jenny Wade. What was it?
Jenny Wade is
was further up
in Traction. Yeah. It was a woman's name, supposedly haunted. We didn't have anything happen there.
No, that's where Taps actually was one night. They supposedly have running ghosts to go and hide because they hid in the basement while the battle was going on. But yeah, we didn't have any experiences there. Your parents have stayed
at the Inn at Hare Ridge, which is just on the outskirts of town.
And that place is also haunted.
That's been on numerous paranormal shows.
Yeah, they didn't report anything, but they were in the newer section of the hotel.
Yeah, I think that might be right.
Yeah.
They stayed in a couple different rooms there.
Yeah. But that, we stayed in a couple of haunted places that we have not done Cash Town in.
No, we have not.
So that's another one up there. But yeah, there's a lot of things that have happened up that way, and we've been on several of the ghost tours up there. We definitely can recommend quite a few of them. We've been to the bridge, the covered bridge, and had some interesting interaction with the dowsing rods while we were there. So
yeah, Gettysburg, very haunted place.
Love it. It's one of my favorite places to go. Just not when it's stinking hot out.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm sure that we'll have to feature.
Oh yeah, there's a Gettysburg plan.
Yeah,
there's a Gettysburg plan.
Not just that, but maybe even on just the haunted hotels and have the segment on there because there's several places to stay there that have the spirits.
Yep.
So we'll do some more research, and if you keep watching, Jenny, Jennifer, Jenny, sorry if that's too formal for you, I don't know.
Yep.
But anyways, if you keep watching, I'm sure that we will have some Gettysburg tales for you on another show.
Yep. All right, so we're going to jump over to the Bourbon Orleans Hotel. This is, again, located in the French Quarter, and it has a long history that dates back to 1817. It was first built by entrepreneur John Davis, and it was the Bourbon Orleans Ballroom. And when it opened, the ballroom catered to the most prominent people of New Orleans. Various events were held there, including carnival balls, quadroon balls, masquerade balls, and in 1827, the ballroom became a meeting place for the state and house legislative. It was actually rumored that Andrew Jackson announced his intention to run for office at the Bourbon Orleans. The success of the ballroom led John Davis to build the Orleans Theater on an adjacent plot of land. It earned recognition and became a well-established venue in the area. He actually introduced French opera to the community and became equal to some of the best gaming and dining rooms in Europe. By the year 1881, both the ballroom and the Orleans Theater were bought by the Sisters of the Holy Family and was used as a convent and a school. They remained the owner for more than 80 years, and then the property was sold and they became the Bourbon Orleans Hotel. Apparently our murder muffin is doing something she shouldn't be doing. Surprise, she's 9 weeks old.
It's okay.
We're good?
We're good.
We're climbing?
Yeah, we're just exploring.
Okay. And now she's high in the air.
She's wrestling paper, which there's worse things she could do.
This is true. There are worse things she can do. We have the scratch marks for her leg.
Yep.
But she's so cute and adorable. And now she's going to show you how she adorable is.
Oh,
and eat me.
Uh-oh.
Here. Play with that.
I got it. We're good.
Okay. So, the hauntings. They have as many as 17 ghosts that they have recorded thus far. And the locals actually call it, again, one of the most haunted hotels in New Orleans. The activity has been enough and numerous times that acclaimed psychics and other paranormal investigation teams have come in to hold investigations. Hi, you cannot have this.
Off she goes.
Yeah. Alright. So the hauntings. It's in a creepy twist that most of the hotel residents' spirits are actually believed to be small children from when it was an orphanage. At that time, again, it was a convent, it was an orphanage, and a yellow fever epidemic burned its way across New Orleans. The nuns and the children were not spared. To this day, the ghostly apparitions of little children and nuns can still be seen and felt throughout the hotel. A little girl can be seen heard playing and chasing after her ball in the corridors of the 6th floor. Guests and staff members alike have recounted hearing the laughter of children in the hallway where no children are present, and some of the children are also pranksters and they enjoy tugging on the shirts of the hotel guests. Aside from the epidemic, a ghost of a former nun that allegedly had committed suicide in room 644 haunts those who stay in the room to this day. People have seen the nun in her habit standing at the foot of the bed of them, staring at them, and they have heard the cries of a woman from inside the room when nobody is there. This apparently is becoming a game. We're just going to circle around.
Fascinated by my bottle cap.
Ah, yes. The famous ballroom is also the home to a lonely ghost dancer. She can be seen dancing underneath the crystal chandeliers. Numerous reports of a figure hiding between the draperies have been received by guests and staff, as well as the owners of the hotel. And there's also a Confederate soldier who has been seen wandering the halls in his dirty, bloody uniform. People who have not seen this ghost have heard the sound of his sword against the floor, moving along with his footsteps. Oh no, you were not landing in the popcorn. I hope you all enjoyed tonight's Cat TV with the stories.
Yes. Alex says Una is the best bonus to tonight's show.
She is definitely a curious one.
Oh yes, well, she's a kitten.
Yeah. Alright, so again, these are just a few of the stories of the ghosts that are haunting this hotel. So those are your trifecta for the trip to New Orleans that I'm sure everybody wants to take at some point in time. Go ahead and book your rooms now. Alright, so we're going to head north now.
Yep. Skipping all the way up to Massachusetts.
Good old MA.
Yep. One of the original 13 colonies.
Yes.
And we got some history that goes back to the Revolutionary era to go with that.
Yes, we do. Alright.
Am I kicking it off?
Yes, you are. Because I'm going to go find her.
She's right here. Okay. She's making moves on my
beer.
On my beer.
Just as long as she doesn't go for the bourbon.
Trying to sneak up on the other side of it.
My first cat liked beer. It was pretty bad.
Actually, I think she wants the bottle cap more than anything else.
No, she wants the popcorn I have.
Okay. Anyways, so, Massachusetts, and we're not going to go straight to Boston. I mean, of course, everybody knows Boston, but what's possibly the second most famous place to Boston?
Cape Cod.
Cape Cod. Maybe Salem. Depends on your
point of view.
Your point of view. But anyways, we are going to go out to Cape Cod. First, specifically a small town known as Barnstable Village. And here it is the Beechwood Inn out there of Cape Cod. And it's a nice little area, nice spot surrounded by trees, and being out on the Cape, it's not uncommon for a stiff breeze to blow across the property, rustling the leaves of the 2 large beechwood trees that give the inn its name. On a particularly gusty night, the great limbs of the trees will join the chorus of the leaves with their creaks and groans. The 1853 home features a wraparound porch where you can enjoy sights and sounds of this little slice of peaceful respite. So peaceful, perhaps, that some spirits have never checked out. The Tragoats purchased the Beechwood Inn in the town of Barnstable back in 1994. Since then, they've had many run-ins with and even once been spoken to by a female ghost in her late 70s. So they estimate, at least. Owner Ken Tragoat said he first saw her one afternoon in 2005 while he was outside doing some landscaping and saw an older woman in a white dress with grayish white hair seemingly poring over a display of travel brochures which they had converted from an old closet. Ever the dutiful host, Ken hopped up and went to lend assistance to the woman, only to find out when he got inside that she was gone. Thinking that maybe she was outside looking for him, he went back out, only to once more see her back where she was before, in front of the display. Noticing no cars in the driveway, it dawned on him that he may very well be seeing a spirit, and it seemed to be playing a little hide-and-seek with him.
Peekaboo.
Now, the Tragoats named the presumed presence the Mischievous Lady because of her apparent delight in playing tricks. She's locked us out of the room. Ken recalls she's locked us out of the rooms and out of the house on a couple of occasions, moved tools on me, flipped over the curtain rods, loosened light bulbs. She likes to do these kind of pranks. In 1995, after 2 guests checked out of the Rose Room, someone applied the manual deadbolt, which can only be locked from inside the room. No windows or doors let in or out of the room unless you unbolted the bathroom windows, which Ken eventually was forced to do. However, this lady is not without her manners. Ken's wife Deborah was out washing sheets in the laundry room, which butts up against the lilac room, when she heard music from inside. Thinking the previous night's guest had left a radio behind, she turned the key to the room to retrieve it, and upon opening, heard a friendly voice chirp, "Good morning." Fearing that she had actually intruded upon a guest, she immediately backed out and closed the door behind her. She went to check with her husband, and as she had thought, the guest had actually already checked out, a fact confirmed by Ken, and they were, in fact, all alone in the home. While the Tragoats are convinced their ghost is a female, the former owners felt a male presence there, and that they had nicknamed Arthur. Now, regardless of who the spirit is, it does not confine itself to just the owners. Writing in Haunted Massachusetts, a great guidebook for those looking for chills in the Bay State, book by Thomas DeGostino, relates how a family with kids in tow abandoned the place one evening with a statement, "You have ghosts, we're leaving." I guess just not for everybody. Yeah. So, and then later on, a southern lady preferenced her own description of the lady in white dress in her room with, "Do y'all have ghosts here?"
Maybe.
Maybe. Just maybe. In one personal story, it's Halloween night, and a guest named Todd Atterbury.
Yeah.
Man, we can't choose one with these names, can we?
No.
Never just a Smith. Anyways, he's there in the Rose Room, and he's looking to go ahead and just relax and take a bath. He's just back from the Barnstable Village Haunted in History walking tour, which was a 2-hour or so stroll through the haunted spots in the stereotypically perfect Cape Cod village. The tour ended at the old jail in Barnstable, where there were a few moments that they were downright chilly. Todd asked Derek Bartlett, the creator of the tour and founder of Cape and Islands Paranormal Research Society, if his bed and breakfast, the Beechwood Inn, has any spooks. Derek responded that the inn was most definitely haunted, and they had done an investigation there, as a matter of fact. The place was even featured on Ghost Hunters. Todd and Derek discussed some of the particulars of the evidence that had been gathered in the various rooms, and regarding Todd's room in particular, the Rose Room, Derek commented about the spirit's inconvenient penchant for locking the deadbolts when no one was in the room. Now, the Rose Room is ideal for a haunting. Aged wood floors, wall-to-wall antiques including a solid mahogany queen-size canopy bed that might as well date from the Middle Ages, a red velvet fainting couch, and a hand-carved Italian mahogany armoire.
Sign me up.
Amongst the smaller pieces was a portrait of a woman on the mantel with haunting eyes. Even in the daylight, Todd found the picture unsettling and found that he had to turn it face down. So, Todd is there, in the bathroom, getting ready to take a bath, which he admits is his thoughtful spot. He likes, thinking in the bath.
He's like me.
Yeah. The water is running, and the bathroom is one of those long, narrow spaces so common in New England homes, where the toilet facilities were, by invention, an afterthought. The water is echoing loudly, and he's just about to lean back for a long soak, having ascertained that the faucets could easily be controlled with one's toes. And then he hears a door slam. Now, there were only 3 rooms on this end of the house, all of which were empty when he had reached his own room. It was late when he got back, and the parking lot had been empty all afternoon. Todd shut the water off and listened to footsteps on the hardwood floor. They seemed to stop just outside the door to his room, and then silence. Todd realizes he's holding his breath. Gradually, Todd regains his courage, figuring it must be someone from another part of the house, or the owners are just checking on the rooms for the night. He decides it's a good night to skip the tub, and stands up, turning around to turn on the shower to rinse off. As he starts to rinse, he hears the footsteps once more, reminding him it's a friendly spirit by all accounts. But when the door slams again, he forgoes rinsing for the evening and scrambles out of the shower. Over the years, there have been reports of a misty figure in the same bathroom, which Todd was now abandoning, dripping wet and suds all across the floor. Now, it was not terror that Todd was feeling. It was more of a certain nervousness that was being experienced. Todd dried, dressed, one eye continuously scanning the room, and he plopped himself down on the bed, clicking on the TV. Being Halloween, Jason was making his rounds on one channel, and on the next channel you had Freddy, but Todd was not inclined to watch slasher horror in his current state. He finally found a mindless sitcom, eventually falling asleep on the fainting couch in front of the fire. With the delectable spread, Todd got to chat with the owner Ken, and brought up the slamming doors and footsteps heard the night before. Ken, in turn, freely discussed his experiences in the house with the resident specter, and shared with Todd the local lore of how, when the nearby 1716 Barnstable house burned in 1975, an elderly woman was spotted in an attic window by firefighters. Racing inside the house to rescue her, they then watched as the lady floated away across towards the Beechwood Inn, where perhaps she stayed till this day, taking on the role of the mischievous lady, stomping about and making herself known to the owners and guests alike.
I'm ready to sign up to go. Rose room, here I come. She's got my necklace. Will you remove that from her? Una finds every single thing that she's not supposed to play with.
And she wants it badly.
Yes, she does. Oh,
Let it
she's
go.
got it wrapped around the light.
We're good. We're good.
Might want to just
We're not good.
You're not good. Yeah, just put that up there, because she wants it.
Ow.
There we go.
We're good. I'm good. Do what you will with it.
I don't know what to do with it. Or she won't see it. Give me her.
Pocket.
Okay. Anyway, life with a kitten. Oh, don't you dare swipe it, Daddy. Moving to Boston.
Daddy's 6 feet under right now.
That's okay, I've got the shovel. I'll get you out. Moving to Boston, we're going to go to the Omni Parker House Hotel. That was a light. That was my heart attack for the night.
Sorry, everybody. Do you need to go to your room? I know you're entertaining everybody.
But I think she might need to. We had her with us tonight because of the storms that are rolling through, and we're not quite sure how she does with storms quite yet. Apparently they don't faze her. She's too busy getting in trouble.
You need to play with her, that's all. Oh, well, I'll try that.
Yeah.
Alright, carrying on. We got stories to tell.
With a fuzzy tail. Boy. There we go. Alright, so the Omni Parker Hotel has a long history of paranormal activity since 1855, and it's considered to many to be the most haunted hotel in Boston. The hotel is reportedly home to multiple spirits who make themselves known throughout the building. One of the most haunted areas is actually the third floor of the main building, where elevator number 1 repeatedly stops even when there is nobody there. While no one is really sure why the elevator does this, they have checked it on several times with different
I got her.
different inspections. There's no reason for it to be doing this. A lot of people actually just believe it's the resident spirits who are just enjoying the modern amenities that we have today. One lingering spirit is said to have been stage actress Charlotte Cushman, who on February of 1876 died of pneumonia in her room on that floor after a long battle with breast cancer. In a separate haunting, room 303 is believed to be home to the lingering spirit of a businessman who committed suicide in the room in 1949. Guests in room 303 have reported the smell of whiskey and the sound of laughter in the room. Complaints become so frequent that the hotel eventually turned the room into a storage closet. Also on the third floor is the Dickens Room, where author Charles Dickens actually resided in 1867 and 1868 while he was on his American lecture tour. The hotel still displays the mirror that Dickens used as he practiced his first public reading of A Christmas Carol. The legend is that strange occurrences take place when guests repeat the words Charles Dickens in front of the mirror 3 times. A staff member once had a creepy encounter with the mirror when he tried to clean the condensation off of it and found it kept coming back. It was as if somebody was breathing on it. The staff member who was so disturbed, he said he never touched the mirror since then. In the hotel restaurant, a painting of founder Harvey Parker often projects an eerie glow, and the staff often comments about it. One female guest ate in the restaurant and had a frightening dream of seeing Parker in her room afterward. As the hotel tells it, Parker appeared in front of a mother and daughter who were sleeping in room 1012, and the man in 1800s attire grinned at the girl who smiled back, and then he disappeared. Mr. Parker aside, the 10th floor is said to be a home to numerous spirits, including one who drove away one spooked security guard. Many guests have reported noise coming from unoccupied rooms, and several have specifically described the ghost of a former resident with a fan of cigars, who was a fan of cigars and whiskey. The apparition of the man with a stovepipe hat is said to have appeared in front of a woman and her daughter, as we mentioned again. And again, this is a gentleman who was believed to have died on the 10th floor in the 1800s. Even some of the staff at the Omni Parker Hotel have never seemed to leave. On the mezzanine level, the staff member reported hearing a disembodied voice in the storage closet. The staff member attributed the voice to the ghost of a former employee who used to hide out in the closet after a night of drinking. So yes, do we have a question?
I don't think so.
Okay, just thought I'd check before I go on.
People were disappointed that might be going to timeout. We'll give her a few more minutes.
She seems to be skulking around in her ninja-like way right now.
She is very much a ninja.
She is.
Oh, she's laying down on the desk chair over
Okay,
there.
cool. Maybe
All right.
it's crashing time.
Maybe.
She plays hard and then she crashes hard.
Very, very abruptly.
So, as I posted earlier on my Facebook page, her feet were hanging out of her little tunnel and she was out cold.
There's all kinds of fun pictures of her.
Yes, she has her own Instagram page, actually.
Which we mentioned at the beginning, but if you missed it and you want to get more of Una, that's Furry Murder Muffin.
Is her hashtag.
Is her her handle, at Furry Murder Muffin, and she's also goes by Una the Gray. So she lives up to her name.
Yes, she is. So we're on the Concord.
Kimberly. Yeah, Kimberly says this needs to be a regular event after the pandemic. Well, we
are doing it every other week now.
Yep, we are. We plan to continue moving on with this. This was something that we started doing just to keep our sanity during the pandemic.
Keep me busy because I was out of work. He was still working from home. But I'm now back to work. Plus, we're doing the tours now. So the main research person doesn't have as much time anymore.
Yeah. So we were doing it weekly, now we're doing it every other week, but we have a mountain of material that we plan to continue to share every other week. So
it's just a matter of organizing it all and editing.
Yep, so we are not going anywhere. So let's see, where are we? Oh yes, I promised a colonial era history.
Yes, you did.
Yes. So we shall get to said colonial era history, and we're going to go to the very famous town of Concord. And Concord's Colonial Inn, as a matter of fact, which opened all the way back in 1716, making it one of the oldest inns in America. The inn is made from 3 originally separate buildings, and at the time of the American Revolution, it was the home of Dr. Timothy Minot, a physician. According to the information provided by the inn, Minot tended to the wounded from the battle at the North Bridge on April 19, 1775. Some speculate that room 424 is haunted because soldiers under Dr. Minot's care died in that room, or perhaps the spirit is Dr. Minot himself. Still others say that the specter is that of a woman, and that some say she's wearing Native American dress. This woman may be the same one that is said to have been employed by Dr. Minot to provide comfort and care for his surgical patients. So, whole variety of possible apparitions and experiences going on in room 424.
And that's not all.
No. Other possible resident spirits might also be members of the Henry David Thoreau's family, the famous author. So, his grandfather owned one of the houses that now makes up the inn, and Thoreau himself lived there from 1835 to 1837 while a student at Harvard. Even Ralph Waldo Emerson's ghost is said to walk the upstairs hallways of the inn.
So if you want literary ghosts, you need to go here.
Good place to go. In addition to evidence gathered during paranormal investigations, staff members have also reported paranormal experiences themselves, including the feeling of being touched as though someone was trying to pass them. Also, one of the inn's restaurant servers told paranormal experts he was once trying to swipe a guest credit card when it flew out of his hand as though someone behind him had grabbed it. The card was later found in a closed cabinet.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah. Paranormal investigators and staff are not the only ones to have had experiences at Concord's Colonial Inn. In 1966, MP and Judith Phillips of Highland Falls, New York, registered at the inn and were given room 24 on the second floor. The newlywed couple was looking forward to their stay in the quaint New England inn. The next morning, however, the bride looked rather pale, and about 2 weeks later, Loring Grimes, the innkeeper at the time, received a letter from Mrs. Phillips. It read in part, "I have always prided myself on being a fairly sane individual, but on the night of June 14th I began to have my doubts. On that night I saw a ghost in your inn. The next morning I felt too foolish to mention it to the management, so my husband and I continued on our honeymoon. I wondered whether or not any sightings of a ghost had been reported, or if any history of one was involved in the history of the inn. The incident sounds very melodramatic, but I was awakened in the middle of the night by a presence in the room, a feeling that some unknown being was in the midst. As I opened my eyes, I saw a grayish figure at the side of my bed, and to the left about 4 feet away. It was not a distinct person, but a shadowy mass in the shape of a standing figure. It remained still for a moment, then slowly floated to the foot of the bed, in front of the fireplace. After pausing for a few seconds, the apparition slowly melted away. It was a terrifying experience. I was so frightened I could not scream. I was frozen to the spot. For the remainder of the night, I could not fall asleep. It was spent trying to conjure a logical explanation for the apparition. It was not a reflection of the moon, as all the curtains were completely closed. Upon relating the incident to my husband, he said the ghost was included in the price of the room." I don't know if that marriage was going to last, but hey.
At least he had a sense of humor about it.
True. I guess it all depends on the tone of how he said that. Anyways, Mrs. Phillips isn't the only one to have tales from room 24. A few years ago, Leslie Wilson, curator of special collections at the Concord Free Public Library, and her husband spent a night in room 24. On that occasion, they were disappointed that nothing out of the ordinary happened, but their stay had been inspired by another apparent incident in the space. In 1996, a businesslike man in a military uniform came to the library seeking information about the inn's history and spoke to Leslie. He had stayed in room 24. Leslie recounted, "I believe he felt he had experienced something there. He clearly believed it, and it clearly shook him up. He thought it might have been a ghost of someone in the Minot family. It moved me in some way to see someone who had been so shaken." The incidents of room 24 have also been captured by some paranormal investigators. Members of one group caught quiet sounds on 2 tape recorders that they say are the words "later" and "help," and a laugh, or perhaps it's a phew, of relief. They also gathered some visual evidence, and while the classic orb activity was amongst the evidence, they also videotaped 7 balls of light flying around the room, indicating to them that 7 different spirits were with them in the space.
That's a lot of spirits in one space.
You can also translate that evidence how you like.
Yeah.
So
There's
that
a
was
lot of different theories on orbs.
That was their take on it. Now, paranormal investigations are becoming an increasingly normal occurrence at the inn, according to its general manager. He said he has worked at the inn, which is now owned by the Demish family, for several years. David, the general manager, says, "There wasn't much to talk about the inn. There wasn't much talk about the inn and the haunted room when I got here. During his first 2 years, no paranormal investigators came to check things out. The 3rd year, there was 1. The next year, there were 4, and now his phone is ringing on a regular basis."
It's very difficult to get room 24.
David doesn't solicit the paranormal investigators, but he is not unhappy when they call him. He thinks that publicity is why the number of requests from investigators is increasing. David said that he believes the inn has ghosts, and although he hasn't encountered one himself, he has talked with one very spooked guest. The woman had been so frightened the night before that she fled from the room in her nightgown and slept on the sofa in the lobby. When he couldn't guarantee that moving her to another room would keep the spirits from her, she left for the Best Western. In general, though, David says that the ghosts are friendly and that ghost stories are good for business. "It is a very much demanded room for those that know it," he said. "People get fascinated with that stuff." David is concerned that the ghosts, whoever they are, might be bothered by the number of paranormal investigators invading their space, and he says, "My sense is that they are getting a little agitated. If the frequency increases, I don't want them to hate me." But with that said, he also has no desire to exorcise the spirits either. That scares me. He sees no reason to try and meddle with that. Paranormal activity has been investigated in other areas of the hotel as well, and amongst the many investigations, Ghost Hunters did an hour-long episode on the inn during Season 6, Episode 14, and there's also a show online that you can view at ghostvillage.com, Episode 61, about the inn.
So if you want more information or to see what the inside looks like, go check those out.
Yep.
All right. Going back to North Carolina, we're hitting a lot of my old stomping grounds where I used to live.
Yeah, actually, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah, the only place I had no friends or family down in Louisiana.
No.
But you had family out in Colorado?
I used to live in North Carolina. I used to live in Boston.
Yep.
So.
Yep, and...
Anyway.
So
one place we'd love to visit is actually Asheville, North Carolina. That was one of the last trips we took before COVID hit. We went in December of last year to the Biltmore estate when they had the Downton Abbey costume exhibit from the most recent movie. Now we're trying to go up to the Grove Park Inn to go see the gingerbread displays. This is the, if you've ever seen on Food Network, the Great Bake Off gingerbread competition. This is where they have it. But we couldn't get up there unless you had reservations for dinner or you were staying there. Those are the only 2 ways you could actually see the exhibit. So we couldn't make it that time, but another time we will get up there and go have dinner up there. But the Grove Park Inn is a hotspot for famous celebrities, for political guests. It was actually once used during World War II as an internment center for Axis diplomats, and after the war, the U.S. Navy used it as a center for rest and rehabilitation. As interesting as its wartime history is, the hotel's most famous resident spirit is thought to date from some of the building's earlier days. So this is when, I know, I've been eating all the popcorn.
I forgive you.
This is a place where they actually built up Asheville as a place for the well-to-do of the late 1800s, early 1900s to come and stay and get away from the summer's heat of all the cities. It really helped that the Biltmores were there and that they had very wealthy...
The Vanderbilts.
The Vanderbilts at the Biltmore.
Yes.
And that they had very wealthy friends and basically brought the railroad into town.
Yeah. Particularly from New York City.
Yeah. There's a lot of buildings that actually are smaller versions of New York City buildings. We discovered that on a tour.
Yeah. There's like a duplicate of the Flatiron Building.
Mm-hmm. All the streets are named after New York streets. It's really...
Kind of.
It's a mini New York.
Yeah. Which is really what gives Asheville a much different feel
than the rest of North Carolina.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the mysterious Pink Lady has been haunting the hotel for over half a century. Only rumors and folklore surround the tale of the Pink Lady. Most believe she was a young woman who fell or was pushed to her death from the 5th floor of the Palm Court atrium in the 1920s. There are no records to be found because we believe it was due to negative publicity, so they hushed it up. Asheville of the 1920s was a retreat for some of the wealthiest and most powerful people of the country at the time, and the hotel ownership included, and they, of course, did not want that negative publicity. Room 545 stands out among the rumors because multiple people have reported getting an inexplicable chill upon entering the room. Staff and guests sometimes report seeing a pink mist or a woman wearing a pink gown in various locations in the hotel. She is known as a friendly but mischievous ghost that turns lights on and air conditioning on and off and opens and closes doors. She pulls the cover off a sleeping guest and tickles their feet, even holds their hand. She sounds interesting. Thank you. Alright, so now we're going to bounce north again, and we're going to go to Vermont again, another one of my states that I used to live in.
Is that why you chose these ones?
No.
Coincidence?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let it slide.
I was trying not to choose the one that I only had one story from each state, so I was going to see if we could do a marathon and go one haunted hotel per state in one episode.
People we're having fun. People say they're enjoying the stories. I hope y'all are enjoying the stories.
Okay, so Manchester, Vermont.
We're enjoying ourselves.
This was the Equinox Resort and Spa. It was constructed in 1769. Vermont was actually one of the favorite retreat vacation spots for Abe Lincoln's family, and it's actually said to be haunted by Honest Abe's beloved wife, Mary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mary Todd Lincoln.
So, the Lincolns summered at the Equinox in 1864, and they loved it so much that they had plans to return in 1865. Unfortunately, the assassination of Lincoln derailed the plans for the family's return the following summer. Understandably. But their love for the area is thought to have left a stark imprint on the hotel all the same. Several guests have reported glimpsing a vanishing woman and young children on the hotel grounds, and the night clerks of the hotel have heard it all. Guests of one specific suite have consistently reported waking up from a sound sleep in the middle of the night to see a young boy peering at them from the side of the bed. When questioned, the little boy walks through the wall out to a second floor veranda. When the guests get up out of bed to go see where he has gone to, they report only seeing a large cat sitting on a veranda. So not only are they seeing ghost things, they're seeing possibly changelings.
Changelings.
Just saying. Alright, in 1811, in the 1811 house, there is one room that is known as the Hidden Room, where the family's traveling trunks were stored in the 1800s. The room also served as a favorite hiding place for the children during games of hide and seek. To this day, guests repeatedly report seeing and hearing children in period garb running and laughing while passing in and out of the hidden room. Many people attribute all of these occurrences back to Mary and the Lincoln children. It's one of the last places that they all would have been able to experience true joy together as a family before disaster hit the family. So that's understandable. You return back to where you were happy. We have several ghost stories in town about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Alright, we're going to go to the Green Mountain Inn in Stowe, Vermont. I have cleaned this inn. My parents owned a carpet cleaning business. I cleaned a lot of inns in Vermont.
That's claim to fame.
I met the Von Trapps this way. Just saying. And I do mean the Von Trapps from Sound of Music.
One and the same.
Maria's awesome, by the way. Well, she was awesome. Anyway, moving on. If you feel particularly chilled near room 302 in the Green Mountain Inn of Stowe, Vermont, you need to stop and listen very closely. You'll also hear some singing and some staccato clicks of a tap dancer. Boots Berry was actually born in room 302 in 1840, and many believe that his spirit remains there to this day. The son of one of the inn's chambermaids, Boots grew up and took over his father's job as caring for the horses that drew the inn's stagecoaches. One summer morning, Berry stopped a runaway coach, saving its passengers. He received a medal for his dramatic heroism, and a local legend grew around his act. But then Berry started to drink heavily. He lost his job at the inn and eventually drifted down to New Orleans and landed in jail. And while he was there, he learned to tap dance and earned the nickname Boots. After his release, he returned back to Stowe, where he committed a second heroic act. A young girl became trapped on the roof of the Green Mountain Inn during a violent snowstorm, and Berry ran to the roof over room 302 through a secret route he had learned as a child. He saved the little girl, but unfortunately Berry wasn't so lucky. He ended up falling from the roof over the room where he was born and was killed. Berry's spirit remains and is in the inn, and he calls it home for over a century now. He sometimes can be heard tap dancing on the roof or entering his former room of 302.
Interesting story he has.
Yeah.
You think of going to prison and the whole idea of rehabilitation. All the things you could rehabilitate with.
Tap dancing.
Learning to tap dance is not one of the ones that would come to mind.
Nope.
But kudos to him.
I mean, we had Al Capone playing a banjo last week.
True. Yeah. Alright.
Alright, do we have a question? Popcorn now?
Glenn commented and wonders if the man in gray is out on the beach tonight.
Ooh. Well, he should have been seen 2 to 3 days before this.
Yeah. If anybody did not catch our Haunted Beaches episode, there is a very classic story going back hundreds of years. That there is a man in gray that commonly appears in the days before a hurricane strikes, particularly the Mid-Atlantic, and he basically serves as a warning. He might be there as a bad omen, but he's there with good intentions.
Yeah.
He's there to provide a warning that people should leave, and to those who heed his warnings, they may find that their property gets protected as well. So, yeah, if you're out there on the beach and you see the gray man, time to head inland.
Yeah, so. Definitely. Especially if you talk to him, you heed him and you leave.
Yes. So, yeah, good question about that. No, Patrick says the Haunted Beaches episode was awesome. Thank you.
We have another one hopefully coming up that's going to be based just on the Outer Banks. I actually was able to score 5 signed copies of Outer Banks ghost stories while we were out antique hunting for something else.
Yeah, score.
It was a score. Especially that they were signed.
Uh-oh, and Alex says she's going to have to make some kettle corn now. Don't blame you.
I just figured, stormy night, I really just wanted popcorn.
And Glenn says, oh, thanks for being here and sharing the stories. Glenn, we're always happy to do this. We love doing this. I mean, gosh. We didn't think that we'd be able to find the time to be able to do this once we started doing tours again, but we're making the time because we love doing this, and we love being able to share the stories with you. We love interacting with you.
Yeah, and we love being able to branch out past Virginia. So, this is wonderful.
Yes. Continuing to do spooky research and being able to share with people is fun.
And again, if anybody knows of a sponsor who would like to sponsor us to go traveling around the U.S., visiting some of these places and blogging about it, and doing videos about it, we will happily take that sponsorship and go. please.
Please, maybe, one day.
I'll take out an RV and we'll go.
Cool. Can't wait for Outer Banks stories.
Yep.
What are we going to do next time, anyways? 2 weeks from now.
I don't know. I was thinking about some cemeteries, but I can do Outer Banks instead.
We could get to that. It's hurricane season.
Yeah. Okay, I can do Outer Banks.
Beach season and hurricane season.
Yeah, I have to read books. Oh, darn.
So, thank you for mentioning the man in gray. So there you go, Teresa. You have single-handedly determined our course for the next 2 weeks and what we will be researching. Hope that you can turn in 2 weeks.
Yep.
But in the meantime, got a little off track. We do have one more story to share with you tonight. And we are going to go ahead and fling ourselves all the way across the country, out to the West Coast, to Washington State.
Because I did these all in alphabetical order by state today.
I didn't realize that. Oh well.
English
Anyways,
teacher! Warmer!
Washington State is a location that neither one of us have any ties to whatsoever. Neither one of us have lived there, neither one of us have visited there.
Nope.
Nope.
On
Never
the
been there.
list, but not yet.
There's a lot of places on our list.
Yep.
A lot of places on our list. But, so,
Do we have a kidding you?
no, she's still in the chair. I don't know what that was.
Probably the storm.
Maybe.
Anyway,
All
moving
right,
on.
so yeah, we are going to go to the town of Lakewood in Washington State, and there you will find Thornewood Castle. It was built by Chester Thorne as a gift to his bride, Anna. Chess, as he was known by friends and family, gained his fortune working in railroads and banking, but is best remembered as one of the founders of the Port of Tacoma. So that really kind of, he was very much well involved with the, obviously the local business, made himself a good chunk of change, and he was also civically involved as well, and was able to help bring this port to fruition, which benefited the whole city of Tacoma as a whole. So he was a very popular man in town, and, well, he was a man who had a dream. And that dream was, he was just absolutely enamored with the enchanted grandeur of old English estates, and swore that he would also build his own dream castle in time. He manages to do so. He's got money. It's back before the whole income tax thing and all that. So
And a lot of these were being built in the U.S.
Yeah. So, what does he do? He wants a castle. He's not going to go ahead and just build a castle. No, he purchases a 400-year-old manor in England, has it dismantled, and shipped to the United States. The shipping
Sounds familiar.
takes 3 ships. 3 ships laden with building materials from this 400-year-old estate in England. Sails it back in the era before the Panama Canal, all the way down the Atlantic Ocean, around the Cape of
Good Hope.
Is it the Cape of Good Hope?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Cape of Good Hope, around South America. We'll leave it at that. All the way back up the Pacific to Washington State, where it gets unloaded, and it winds up getting incorporated into what is now known as Thornewood Castle. The manor took more than 4 years to complete, and they incorporated these English components around a modern concrete and steel framework, which now occupies more than 27,000 square feet. The manor was completed in 1911, boasting a collection of rare hand-painted glass windows, oak paneling, 500-year-old front doors, and beautifully sculpted fountains throughout the manor. The Thornes lived happily at Thornewood until they eventually passed away of natural causes, Chester in 1927 and Anna later in 1954. The property changed hands before opening as a bed and breakfast in 1991, and no cost was spared to make the manor as magnificent as can possibly be. But to see it yourself, you do need to be a paying guest. The manor is not only a bed and breakfast, but it is also the primary residence of the owners. In a gated community as well, from what I understand. So you have to
have that reservation.
have to have
get
that
through the
reservation.
gates.
Yeah, you can't just go in and wander around like you can some of these other beautiful palatial hotels. So, anyways, Thornewood Castle, it has a long history, and it is also said to be the home of various specters, which have made themselves fairly comfortable there. None of these spirits are of the malevolent variety, and the original construction workers may be to thank for that. When Chess needed to hire laborers to construct the manor, he hired local Native Americans. In addition to providing the labor, these natives followed their own traditions by cutting and hanging numerous sticks around the foundation walls in the basement. Despite having been in the hands of 5 separate owners now, the wishbone sticks, as the current owners call them, have never been tampered with since the original construction finished in 1911.
You know, some of the old ways have a good reason for being the old ways.
Yep.
They still work today.
Yep. So, and it didn't. It had the benefit. The current owners, they have never tampered with them themselves, and they do have absolutely no intention of tampering with them at all. In the Native American tradition, these sticks help to protect against evil spirits and bring good fortune to the house. It also, as well, provided protection to the workers as well. So it provided protection not just to them when they were helping to build the place, but staying on over the generations will help to protect the home. So that may explain why none of the spirits there are known to be particularly malevolent. And as a matter of fact, of the spirits that do linger, the original owner of the manor himself, Chester Thorne, has made several appearances over the years. Excuse me. In the room he formerly occupied, lights have been known to turn on and off of their own accord. Guests and staff have also reported seeing Anna sitting in the window seat of her room. She can be seen looking at the garden longingly. This room is now the bridal suite. One of the things which remain in the room is Anna's mirror, and it is said that sometimes her reflection can be seen behind you. The grandchild of one of the manor's former owners also lingers on the grounds as well, unfortunately after tragically drowning in the lake nearby. The child's spirit has been seen standing alone by the lake, and concerned guests have rushed down to the waterfront only to find that the little child has vanished. Thornewood has been used as a movie and television set on multiple occasions, including the Stephen King, we told you be mentioned again.
The book ended today.
Yeah, Stephen King miniseries, Rose Red. While the current owners firmly say that Thornewood is only haunted in the movies, if Stephen King wants to use your place for filming, it might just have something spooky going on.
He is Stephen King.
It is Stephen King after all. That is our last story for this
It
evening.
is. So we hope you guys enjoyed.
We enjoyed.
Yep. Should I go grab a sleeping unit so she could say goodbye?
Sure, go for it.
Let me grab her.
But
real quick.
did we mention what we're doing Saturday?
No, we did not.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we hadn't mentioned what we're doing Saturday. So Saturday we are going to be chilling out with our friends at Transcend Paranormal again. We just had a chance to do it about a month ago. We're going to be joining them at Scotchtown and again at Hanover Tavern. Why am I blanking on that? I haven't even had that much to drink.
No, you haven't.
I haven't touched my bourbon.
No, you haven't.
Oh, I got some drinking to do. Anyways, oh, she is so tired. So tired. Anyways, but yeah, so we're going to be joining them this Saturday for an investigation of Scotchtown and Hanover Tavern. We're very excited and looking forward to that.
We've actually never investigated Scotchtown, so this is going to be fun.
Yes. And in the meantime, we'll have our guides are going to be doing tours that evening as well, holding down the fort. So if the investigation, if you can't make it there, you can always join our guides who are going to be doing tours here in town.
Yep.
We are doing tours every Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Yep.
So at least right now, schedule will get flipped around later on as the summer comes to an end and whatnot.
And if you want to hear about some of our local haunted hotels, our Phantoms of Franklin tour is actually running this week.
Friday, right?
Yep, and that includes 2 hotels locally that are haunted.
Of course, the beautiful Jefferson Hotel and
Linden Row Inn.
So, yep. So we got a couple haunted hotels there.
It's every baby girl.
Yeah. Let's see, Haunted Capitol Hill. Unfortunately, not running right now. We'll. That's a whole other thing. I don't even want to get into that right now.
No, but when we bring it back, it
when
does
it
features the Berkeley Hotel, which is also haunted.
Yep. So we got multiple haunted hotels here in town.
Yep.
And of course, there's many more haunted hotels across the country and around the world.
Well, one former haunted hotel is also featured on Phantoms of Franklin, and that is the John Marshall Hotel. It is now actually private apartments.
Oh, yeah. How did I forget that? Oh, because it's not a hotel
anymore. It's no
anymore.
longer a hotel, but it was.
Yes.
So, any other comments?
Well, let me see. Love the stories. You guys are awesome. Oh, blushing. Been to Washington State. It's pretty, but true what they say about the rain there. A lot of good places to bicycle.
Mm-hmm. We want to get out there and explore.
Kimberly says her nephew lives in Washington, in Lakewood too.
Oh, awesome!
Very cool. When you go out to visit him sometime, if you don't wind up in the spare bedroom, maybe you'll have to check out the Thornewood.
Glenn has cousins that live in Washington. And Patrick says, moving the castle to the U.S., it sounds like the plot of the Gargoyles animated series. Yeah.
Well, also, I mean, here in Richmond, we have 2 castles that were brought over.
Yes,
we have the Virginia House and we have Ashcroft.
Yep.
Well, they're right next to each other, and they were both brought over from England. Each stone timber was numbered and reassembled.
Carefully articled and brought over and reassembled. So.
And both gorgeous places to go and visit. The Ashcroft is open right now. You can get time tickets to go visit it.
Yeah.
Virginia House is run by Virginia Historical Society, Virginia Museum of History and Culture now.
Yeah.
So you'll have to do tours through them, arrange those through them.
And Una was a hit. Oh, big yawn. Oh, yes, Una was a hit. Alex, Outer Banks Tales will be perfect for August. Looking forward to that. And, oh, yes, we get to see Alex Saturday. She's going to be at the investigation. Hey, looking forward to that. And thank you. Oh, Trina, yes, Hanover Tavern, the investigation, it is a ticketed event. And I don't know if they have any tickets left right now. They might be sold out this time. But, with that said, if you don't do so already, follow our friends Transcend Paranormal on Facebook. They do investigations on a fairly regular basis. Yeah. So they are all ticketed. Transcend, they do pretty much everything they do is nonprofit. Mm-hmm. The proceeds from the Saturday's events are going to be split between Patrick Henry Scotchtown and Hanover Tavern to help with the preservation efforts.
Yeah. They also do ghost tours on their own.
Yes.
Follow Hanover Tavern to check out the schedule for that.
Yes, that's right. So, yeah, follow Hanover Tavern for that. So, Transcend Paranormal, Hanover Tavern. If you don't follow them on Facebook already, strongly recommend you look them up because that's where you can find out about these investigations in advance.
Yeah. And of course, if you follow our friends at Twisted Realm, Twisted Paranormal Society, they have their investigations. They actually have one in Gettysburg, since that was a comment that we had. That's at the Lookout Inn, I believe it is, or Lookout something. I'm blanking on the last word. But that is coming up, so you can check and see if they still have tickets through their haunted nights. And they're also going to be doing the Haunted Dunmora Inn, which is not far from here. I think later on
in August.
In August.
And as a matter of fact, actually, I missed that. Glenn earlier commented that he's going to be there.
Awesome.
Glenn's going to. Wait, was it Dunmora? No. Sorry, Glenn's doing something else. What's the other one out? Crud, I'm blanking. Belgrove. Yeah, Glenn's going to Belgrove. Sorry, Belgrove. But yeah, Dunmora, and that's another location. So
yeah, so you can check out a haunted hotel that way, haunted inn actually, and do an investigation with them. And then we're actually going to be joining Haunted Nights in November for the USS Wisconsin down in Norfolk.
Yep.
For the investigation on that one.
Yep. So
apparently, I need a bath.
You've been eating popcorn.
I have.
With butter and salt.
Yeah.
That's probably
all she's looking.
Yeah. Oh, well. Alex got married at Linden Row.
Oh.
Very cool.
Did you see any of the ghosts?
She said partly for the ghosts, and that it was an amazing location. Yes. Yeah.
We need to do a staycation there.
Let's see.
We're gonna run big stretches.
Glenn says, "Yeah, stay safe. Everybody, take care." Yeah, going to be a little rough out there overnight and tomorrow. So if you are in the path of the storm like we are,
please stay safe.
Hunker down, stay safe. Those castles in Richmond. Yeah, I didn't know that Richmond has reassembled castles. Yeah. Technically, if you omit the fact that they've been taken down, reassembled, and all that, they technically do make for the oldest buildings in Richmond.
They do, and they're more of manor houses now because they didn't bring the entire thing over. They only brought like a third over. But they are incredible and beautiful to visit. Agecroft, actually, normally in the summer is where we have our Shakespeare Festival, but obviously COVID, we're not having that right now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But definitely next summer, go see the Shakespeare Festival there. You can see the grounds, and definitely go see the house. It's really cool.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Awesome. I think that's it. I think if I missed anybody,
my apologies.
We'll look back over the comments afterward and, and comment back.
Yeah, if I missed anybody, and don't hesitate. We love chatting with you.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to drop us a note anytime, you can
give
shoot
us a suggestion. Thank you, Terry. Terry, right?
I thought it was Teresa.
Teresa, sorry, for suggesting the beaches. So we'll do the Outer Banks.
Yep.
So cool.
Yep, Teresa. Yep. So, yep.
She was the one who suggested the Outer Banks, so we will do that. And
we are going to be taking a trip to New York later this month, and so we'll do another upstate New York, probably Great Lakes.
Something like that. We'll figure it out. Might be a special episode.
Yep.
We'll work
we
it
gotta
in
look
somehow.
at our timing.
Yeah, we'll work it
But
in
since
somehow.
everybody liked the view while we were up there last time, we'll do another one up there.
Yeah. So, just have to figure out exactly when we're going to be there.
Yep.
That is the mystery.
Gotta look at my calendar.
Yeah.
Because days mean nothing anymore.
Alex says, no activity noticed at Linden during our stay, but need to look harder. Yeah, just another excuse to go back. Don't blame me there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so let's see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Lynn says, great reason to head up to Richmond. Yeah, lots of great reasons to head up to Richmond. Check out the our rebuilt castles and all the other
our museums that are open. We got a lot of good exhibits out there today. The restaurant scene that's finally coming back to life.
Yeah, to a degree.
As much as they can. Same with us.
Yeah.
So
the great breweries.
Yep.
And hey, if you just want to go ahead and get outside, walking along the riverfront.
Yeah, we got the Cap Trail.
Yep, Cap
Get
Trail.
the bikes out and hit the Cap Trail.
Cap Trail, Canal Walk, Belle Isle, all that good stuff.
Yep. You can go floating down a river, launch up Pony Pasture, and come on down.
We've done that.
Yep.
It was fun.
I won't do it again because I got burnt to a crisp.
Yep, got sunburned pretty bad.
And
Love to go floating again. We just need to make it a shorter route.
Shorter route, the long sleeve stuff. Yeah. Me, son, I'm a vampire for a reason.
All right, we're starting to ramble.
We are, so we're going to say goodnight.
Yeah, we're going to say goodnight. So, and again, yeah, what I was saying, if anybody wants to drop us a note, we're available. Drop us a note. We're happy to chat anytime.
Come on out on a tour.
Come on out on a tour. But yeah, we're not just available just here during the live stream. We love chatting with people.
Yep. So.
As we just talk.
All right.
All right. So
Hi guys,
with that, we will
safe.
say goodnight. Stay safe out there, and we will, at the very least, we will see you in a couple weeks.
Yep.
All right. Good night. Bye.